going. All right, so welcome. I'm going to be checking out these pairs as usual, and we're going to do daily time frames, 4 hour, 1 hour, and then if we see a trade setup, we're going to drop down to the lower time frames, see what's up. All right, so for the dollar, yesterday we had this type of move, little push down, and we close. To me, it looks like we're going to start to move to the upside with the dollar. In the Telegram channel that we have, I did mention, earlier at like 8:30, there's still a good amount of bullish divergence on the dollar. It's dropping pretty good right now, but the momentum on the 1 hour is still showing signs it could turn around, right? So that's exactly what happened actually. On the lower time frames, it started to drop and then it completely turned around. So I am in favor actually of the dollar to continue up based off the technicals. So let's look at the 4 hour time frame. And I know we have a very big bearish move here, but if you look at the structure, we had a little higher high. It did break this, it came right back down, but it put in a higher low, right? So that right there was telling me that we have a possibility to turn up, and we completely did turn up. Okay, and now that this, we made another higher high, and now this right here set in another higher low. So let me just turn my volume down just a hair right here so I can hear myself a little bit more, and then I'm going to turn it down a little bit more on there. So yeah, I'm expecting this to continue to make higher highs. The structure here looks to be set in to move to the upside. Now, yesterday or the day before, we did kind of write some or draw some demand and supply zones here. This is what I said on the analysis, I believe it was Monday night. I said waiting for bullish opportunities, okay, being very patient, not looking for sells unless the lows down here get smashed, okay, and you can see how that didn't happen. In fact, we got a bullish opportunity. So let's go down to the 1 hour and check out these this bullish opportunity I'm talking about, right? So here was the divergence, and I'll just redraw that. Here was the divergence I was talking about. You see it was still pretty heavy right here as the market was dropping lower, came up and dropped a little bit lower. It hit the 78.6 of this last swing up, and it made a very impulsive move to the upside, okay, after sweeping out these lows. So that's exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted this low, and this low to get swept out, which it did, and then we made a quick move to the upside. So that's telling me that there's a higher probability of the market to continue to the upside, at least into the supply zone, based off of the manipulation, based off the impulsive move. So we are going to go down to the 15-minute time frame and look and see what we have, right? So the 78.6, it got tapped, and then we had a big quick move to the upside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my fibs and go from this low to this high. So wherever it wants to stop, that's if it keeps going tomorrow and I wake up and the market is up here, I'll have to extend these fibs a little bit. But for now, the market's right here. I do see a correction pattern happening. So if, there's short-term opportunities to the downside for the dollar soon. I definitely see something like this possibly playing out before it gets into this area. So this is the area that I'm really focused on for tomorrow. You can see this price is the price that kind of manipulated. You see it looked like the dollar was going to start to tank, and then it just reversed. So right here is really that area that I'm focusing on. When price comes back into here, I have an alert at the 61.8. and that's when I'm going to look to strike on some of these other pairs, right? So I want the market to come back down into the 61.8. However, I mean, preferably I would like it to get there a little bit slower than faster. I would like for it to do like an A, B, C type pattern, or start to just get there really slowly and choppy. If it just tanks down there, that's gonna lower the probability of it moving up again. But based off of the impulse, based off the manipulation, I'm most likely going to be taking limit order trades off of 78.6 positions no matter what, because it looks like a really good setup to me. So let the market correct. Let's write this down. Waiting for a correction down before looking for another bullish move up into the supply zone. So I'm not going to try to take this next move all the way up. You know, there's a heavy supply area right here where the market really sold off from pretty heavy. So that's about as high as I'm going to take it. And you can see the fibs line up real well with that. Even if the market goes up a little higher, fibs still line up really well with that area. So looking for the retracement and then a big pop on the dollar. And I'm just going to go ahead and write this as like a little buy box right here. And this is where I'm looking for the market to come back into and then buy off of, right? Okay. So with that being said, the euro is going to look exactly opposite. This is not a trade yet. This is pretty much what I'm looking for to happen. So I did kind of analyze a little bit today. Let me just erase that and let's look and see what we got. So here's what I was looking for, waiting for impulse down or three-wave divergence. Well, the three-wave divergence ended up happening, right? And let's kind of erase some of the things that I was looking for. But here's the three-wave divergence. I know I'm on the 15-minute. I will go to the higher time frames first. But we had a nice impulse in price. And then we had, that's one wave. This is your second wave. And this is your third wave, okay? When you get three waves and then the divergence is still clear as day on, you know, more than one time frame, you can see it's very clear on the 1 hour as well. At that point, that's when I look for the market to at least correct down and to turn around. I don't expect the market to continue breaking and retesting, breaking and retesting. So we got the three-wave divergence that we wanted. And I'll just kind of draw this pattern out there. And, you know, it's starting to slip through. So here's the area that, you know, it's kind of like the opposite of the dollar. This is where I want the market to get to at the very least. And so with that being said, I want to take an opportunity to try to take the market down into there. So let's go, make sure the daily looks okay. Yeah, we're getting a nice wick. So there's a lot of, obviously this area up here is a higher time frame supply zone, that big red area, higher time frame supply zone. And the price has been rejecting off of it, okay? This nice little drop right here to me broke structure, and it looks like there's a possibility that the price could just start to continue to the downside. So basically what we're looking at is for price to come back into this wick, leave another wick, and end up falling. That's what we're looking for price to do. On the 4 hour, good volume on the bearish drop. I like that. And, you know, basically targeting this 200 EMA with this area right here that buyers really stepped in. I don't want to take it too further than that just because, you know, buyers are pretty heavy in this area. So that's a safe take profit mark. Now, let's look at the volume profile. So this is what I'm seeing. This happened, so I'm gonna head and delete that. What I'm seeing on the volume profile as I get in a good amount of price, right, is there is still some interest up in here. That's possible, but right above it is where the interest starts to die off. And you can see every time price came into this lightly shaded area, it has dropped. and it came up, it got pretty close to it, and then it dropped again. So what I'm looking to happen tomorrow is a fib from here to here, wherever this stops, you know, same like the dollar. You can see how the fibs are lining up into the area that I wanted to go to. Let's go down to the 15-minute now. And there's definitely some bullish divergence right now off of this. So there could be a possible correction opportunity coming. I don't really want to play the correction. I want to look more for the next wave, the next wave down. So it's the same, well, it's the opposite of the dollar. Let's put this sell box in. And when the market comes, like I said, if it falls a little further, we'll have to adjust the fibs. But when the market comes back up into here, this is what I'm looking for. You can see the same type of manipulation that happened. These highs got broken. This high got broken by this quick move up, quick move down. You'll hear me say that a lot. When I see quick move up, quick move down, that's an opportunity to trade from. So what I'm going to personally have, I'm going to have an alert at the 61.8 to let me know, hey, price is here. But on my MetaTrader, I'm most likely going to have a 78.6 limit order, just because that's a really good risk to reward down into this demand zone right here. So I'm basically looking for this manipulation to hold, and I want to take price down into the next area of demand. So here's the 78.6. It's going to be a very tight stop of around 11 pips. If it goes any higher than this, we're most likely going into this next area of manipulation, which is definitely possible. You know, we didn't quite get into this candle yet, so it's definitely possible that it could go all the way up there, but this is still a really good opportunity to bring it down. That's a 6-to-1 trade, so I'll be looking for something like that tomorrow on the euro. Definitely looking for this. So what I'm going to say is waiting for correction to sell back down into the demand zone, basically. All right, and all the dollar pairs are going to look very similar, just so everyone knows. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this because it didn't fully play out like this. We did get like a breakout retest drop, and that's cool. And I had some stuff fibbed out from earlier in the day. So let's just see what we got going on. Let's go to the daily. Let's hide everything and see what the daily candle printed. I don't like to go against daily candles, right? If the daily is looking more bearish, I'm going to lean towards the bearish side on the lower time frames. I'm an intraday trader, not a scalper, but an intraday trader trying to find the next little swing through the intradays. And you can see yesterday there was some bearish pressure that stepped in. I'm leaning more towards the bear side than anything. On the 4-hour though, on the 4-hour it does not look that great to me. There's still you know, this fib, and I already have it drawn out from this low to this high. This does kind of look like a little bullish flag starting to form, but nonetheless I do think the market is going to get down into this area. You can see there was some manipulation here where we had lows created, and then we snapped down, snapped up. So I might be looking to buy, I might be more interested to buy the Australian dollar than I am selling it, honestly, in this area. But let's just continue to look on these lower time frames. There was big time bearish divergence as the market was flat here, and it sort of does look like a little bull flag. I like my bull flags to kind of be more of an angle, but this is still pretty flat. The little impulse that happened here was just one little candle, so I'm not loving AU. It's less volatile either way. Let's see here, 15-minute. You know, there is a good amount of volume from yesterday. These red lines are the high volume areas for the day. So there is a good amount of volume sitting right here. Let me bring in a little bit more price to see where the volume profile goes up to. Yeah, there's a lot of volume right here. What I'm seeing, it's the same thing. It's just I like the way EU looks a lot more, but you can see the volume lines up perfectly with the 61.8. So it's another alert here for me. I'm going to see what it's coming right down into this area. A lot of imbalance down in here. So I do think the market is going to get down into these areas of imbalance. Let me bring in a lot more price to see where this volume profile is lining up. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see what the risk to reward is on the 78. Okay, it's a 10 pip stop on this one for 56 pips. So that's possible as well. You can definitely see the little manipulation. These highs get taken out by this candle and then we drop. So how I'll probably play these markets is I'll split up my risk and play these 78.6 positions and risk probably around a full 2% depending on how GU looks as well. So on EU and AU, I'm going to be looking at limit orders at the 78.6. I definitely like the way EU looks more, for sure, than AU, to be honest. There's also some bullish divergence on these lower time frames. So, you know, it definitely looks like it's going to come up a little bit, at least. But this is the area I really want it to go into before I really look to buy it. So kind of leaning towards this little sell to the downside still. Not loving it as much. Okay. So GU unfortunately kind of missed this position that I was looking for. That's all good. Let's kind of clean it up. I wanted it to spike up above these highs and then do this drop. So let me see what the daily looks like on GU. It's definitely in a higher time frame supply area. Yesterday's candle was very bearish, but it didn't break these lows yet. So I'm still in favor of this to continue down, but I don't love buying in these areas of support, these demand areas, or sorry, I don't love selling at these areas. So as you can see, it's been very choppy. That's no doubt. The MACD is starting to show bearish signs. This white line being below zero, it's a bearish sign. It's a modified MACD, so it's not the original MACD. I mean, it gave a nice impulsive move, right? A nice impulsive move to the downside here. The only thing I don't like about it is all the liquidity that's still left up above here. So what happens sometimes whenever there's such a clear, obvious area of support and resistance, like this one, is people will sell and put their stops right here, which is how I would look to play this, to be honest. I would look at something like this and short it at the 78.6 or the 61.8, because there's a lot of volume at the 61.8 as well, and put a stop like that. And then sometimes what happens in these situations is you get that retracement, you get a little reaction, right? And then it blows straight through it, and then it goes the way you want it to go, okay? If that happens, I'll try again on GU, because that's gonna tell me that we came into this area where sellers stepped in, and they stepped in hard after taking out the liquidity. So this is a little bit risky. I probably won't play GU based off of how risky it looks to me. I'm gonna put an alert here still at the 61.8, because if the dollar looks like it's going to continue to the upside at some point, and one of these that I've analyzed so far is in an area where it could sell off, I'm gonna play it. If that doesn't retrace high enough for me, then I'm not gonna play it, but one of them most likely will. And based off of what these other GBP pairs look like in a little, will help me decide if I think the GBP is going to fall or rise. If I think the GBP is going to rise, then this one's a little bit sketchy. So this one played out pretty nice. It didn't quite make the three-wave divergence that I was looking for, but overall I think it's starting to do what I want it to do. So let's clear the air on this, and let's go to the daily, and let's kind of see what we got going on the daily. So definitely a little bit more bullish yesterday than we've been. It's kind of been throwing bears, but still making higher highs and higher lows very slowly. I know right here I've had this fibbed out, looking for it to retrace up here. So let's see what we got going on. It still, to me, looks, you know, like a bear flag is forming here. So I do want to see price sell off from up here. Still, everything is still looking good on that. On the 1 hour, there's a possible trade up into that, in my opinion. So it's a little retracement opportunity. You can see the fibs line up perfectly with the area I want it to sell from. The lows here are still a little risky because it doesn't look like there was too much manipulation. You do see a little quick move down, quick move up, but the quick move up isn't, I mean, there was a big candle, I can't lie on that, but I'd like to see a little bit more of, you know, price action follow up if I'm looking for this retracement. Like I said, I'm gonna put these alerts at the 61.8. If price gets there at the right time of the day tomorrow, then it's definitely not a bad look to try to buy it up into this area. But once it gets into this area, I'll be looking for it to sell off more than anything. So this type of move right here for UJ, and then kind of like maybe some type of a pattern in this area to confirm, and then it's drop out to the downside is what I'll be really looking for on UJ. UCHEF. So UCHEF, we called a trade on that, and it didn't quite play out. It kind of fake stopped and went up. So this one still had a lot of divergence with it. That's what I was seeing in the market. There was just a ton of divergence still while the dollar was trying to move down and fake people out. And it quite honestly did break these lows. So let's look at the daily. I'm not sure how this daily candle looks. Yeah, so a nice wick to the downside here. I'm in favor of this starting to move up a little bit now, based off of, I don't know why it was deleted, but we had this fib here, right? And it almost wicked that 78.6. Regardless though, long term I'm looking for this to move up. So the smart thing to do would be to really wait for structure to form to the upside, right? Like I said, this hasn't really broken yet. No structure is broken yet. But with this manipulation type move, I'm in favor of trying to catch something down here to move up. Like I said before, EU looks way better than all the other pairs, to be honest to me. So I might honestly just focus on EU, but I'm still gonna put this alert here. On something like this, I definitely won't be playing the 61.8. I'll be looking to play the 78.6 if it gets down here. It'll be an extremely tight stop for basically a move to start to break the structure. Now, not the smart thing to do, but the less risky, I guess smart and less risky thing to do would be to wait for this to happen and then try to catch this move right here. That would be a little bit more high probable in my opinion. Just kind of like a breakout of this little wedge pattern. Let it break out and then catch the next wave to the upside. But this area still has had sellers step in, big sellers step in. So that would be the area that I would pretty much look to get out of any buys that I'm in. but it's definitely still possible for, you know, this move down here, hold, and then a move up. That's definitely still possible too, and that's pretty much what I'm looking at this point. You can see we have this little bullish flag forming. I want to see like a little drip down, move up. I don't know if it's going to get there, to be honest. So we'll see. If it does start to break out, then I'll have to move this fib because it hasn't retraced enough for me. So I would have to do something like this and wait for a deeper retracement. Let's bring this back out and move this down. The reason why I don't like trying to play breakouts right here though is because if the market did break out and I look to buy it right here, my stop would be where I really want the trade to get to. So that's a reason why I don't trade like that. So like I said, out of the dollar pairs, EU to me looks the best, definitely. If it can get up into here, I'll be looking to sell that. AU does not look, AU's probably second on my list. GU, I wish it didn't have all this liquidity right here because it really does have a nice impulsive move down. So it's definitely not a bad spot to look for. UJ is a little bit iffy in my opinion, and so is UChef. But let's look and see what we got. So no play unless we see an impulse to the upside. Well, we got that impulse to the upside. So now let's look and see what's going on these higher time frames. So first pound pair I looked at, GU, it looked a little bearish to me. Still a little bit of question on the liquidity spots, but definitely looked more bearish than bullish. This is starting to look sort of bullish. We got this bull flag. We're getting some bullish candles popping up. It's still under this 50 EMA, but I'm liking the way this looks. The safe play would be to wait for a breakout of structure and then try to take it up. 4 hour still pretty sideways, but there is somewhat of a little trend going on down here. So let's look at this 1 hour trend that we got going. Okay, it's kind of in this little channel, right? Nice little impulsive move. Volume was increasing with that. Nice impulse in the MACD, right? So we haven't seen an impulse like this in over a week. So I like to see the impulsive moves on the MACD to confirm. I'm seeing a possible moving average cross. This is the 50 and 200. So that's another bullish move. I'm gonna look for a trade opportunity off EG most likely down here. It's a good amount of price. Let me just drop this down right there. You can see the volume profile lines up with the 78.6. Let me move it down to the 78.6 and that's okay. Whenever I see a whole bunch of opportunities, sort of like today, I really like to wait for the best price on almost everything because all you need in these situations is just one really good trade for the day. If you get two of these at the 78.6 and they play out, you don't have to trade for the rest of the week. So I really want to wait for the 78.6. It's another short stop loss. So it looks like the market moved a lot, but it really didn't. The market really didn't move a whole lot because usually stops on the 1 hour are not just 11 pips. They're usually around 20 to 30, right? So let this correct down. I'm gonna put an alert at the 61 just in case, you know, none of them correct that much. So I can try to trade something tomorrow based off of the moves. And because I haven't really had that much setups this week, so I definitely want to try to get something to 3. If we can get that right there, if we can get something like this to go on, that'll be higher confirmation. And let's bring in a little bit of price so we can see this point of control is right at the 78.6. So that is a good little spot. If you want to look at it like there was some manipulation right here, you can, because this candle kind of dropped below these lows right before London happened, and then we took a move to the upside. So it is a good looking setup in my opinion. I'm not going to say that it's not, but since it hasn't quite broken out of this little flag on the higher time frame, it's still just a little bit risky, because of course we're coming up into the structure of the flag now. So we'll see what happens with it. I want to see some of these other GBP pairs look a little bit bearish. So I want to see GJ look bearish, and I'm gonna just see what we got on the daily. And it still kind of looks like it's rejecting off this area where, of course, big bulls came in, and then you know, the break and retest right here. I know a lot of people are looking at that, but for me, I'm not looking to buy a market that has already gone up this much. That's just not how I trade. So I would much rather see this sell off, to be honest. I would much rather see it sell off. So let's see here. Of course, it threw wicks to the upside as well and downside, so it's more of an indecision on the daily. Now we got to look at this 4-hour price action. So no doubt this is a bullish flag, but like I said, a bullish flag at the top of a market to me isn't, I don't really care for that. So let's bring this back. You can see the bull flag. You can see this impulse from this low to this high up here. We are at the 61.8. 78.6 is still down into the bottom of this candle pretty much. So there's still a little bit of ways to go for the 78.6 to get hit. Yesterday we had this swing to swing, or the day before, swing to swing fib. It came and tapped the 61.8 and dropped. So honestly, for me, I'm still not thinking this is ready to go up yet, especially if it's on like a higher time frame swing. Bullish structure hasn't been formed yet. So you got this fake out to the upside and then this move to the downside, and now it's starting to flag out in my opinion. I think we're going to see another drop. I think there's going to be another drop below these lows. If anything, we're probably going to see like a drop below the low and then a move up. If that happens, then I might change my mind on the bears. But let's bring this over here. This is what I'm really looking at, this volume down in here. So there's still some untested volume in these areas that I think need to be tested. And you can see this gap right here. If price breaks through this low where it's at, basically, we're most likely falling into this area. There's nothing really stopping price right here. And if it breaks through here, these lows, I've been saying it for a while, it's really gonna fall. So let's bring in some more price here. And you can see there's literally nothing holding it back. So I know there's a lot of volume right here. This could definitely hold this price in this area and have it move up, but there's no point to buy a market that has just been so bullish for so long. Eventually, I don't want to say eventually it's got to turn around, because it technically does not, but you got to have some type of rules to your trading, and I just can't buy when price is high, even if it's making a perfect bullish flag, right? Because not all patterns are going to play out, of course, and you can see this manipulation pattern pretty well on the 15-minute on these lower time frames. So this right here definitely took out these highs right before London, or right at London, and then it dropped. So what I'm looking for is a move up into the manipulation and then another move down. So I am in favor of the GBPs to continue falling tomorrow. It might be that midweek reversal time where they do start to pop, but I am not in favor of them going to the upside. They're all pretty high, so I'm going to let them continue to fall and correct more on more of a lower time frame. And let's see here. Yeah, the TPs are sending it right back into the area where I really want to see it react. If it's going to react bullish, that's where I want it to react at. So I'm liking this more and more I look at it. I'll put the alert at the 61.8 and would like to get a 78.6 position. So there's a bunch of setups for tomorrow in my opinion. And if you're bullish on GJ, it's not even a bad spot right here, to be honest, to look to buy. Because obviously it's formed some support. It has some possible bullish divergence coming up. If it breaks through these lows like this without doing this retracement, if it just does this and then pops right back, that's when you know you're probably going to get another wave up. So I'm not against the buys. I just, for my system and my strategy, I can't buy this. I'm really looking for more of a selling opportunity here. And this one probably is a very short stop as well. Short stop, like Derek Jeter. And a move down, you know, this one looks pretty good. A 20 pip stop on GJ's, not bad. It's kind of tight actually for GJ's volatile ass, but a nice 118 pip move down. I think it looks pretty good. Now, one thing I will say though, how I'm personally gonna trade these is obviously I'm not gonna take every single one of these setups. That'd be putting my account at pretty heavy risk. I don't really want to take on all that risk at once. So how I'm gonna play it is these alerts are all set, and how they look when they get hit will determine which ones I pick, right? So it's kind of pick your poison type situation tomorrow, which is fun. But they're all lining up for me in the way I want them to go. They're all correlating very nicely, in my opinion. Okay, GA. I really wanted GA to come up into this area. I really did want GA to come all the way up into this area before falling, and I don't know if it's gonna reach that. If I'm wrong on the GBPs, I do think it will reach that. I do think that if I'm wrong on the bearish GBP movement, and obviously the GBPs start to fly, you know, this could still happen. And it would still give me a bearish bias to the downside. I'm just going to have to wait on GA because this is the price I want. I walked into the store with some items I wanted to sell to them, and they didn't want to take my price. So now I'm just going to go into another store or just wait to get something to sell my items that I want to sell. So maybe a bad analogy, but it's basically what I want. I want to sell my item at a higher price than this. I think it is definitely going to come up, or if it doesn't come up, I'm just going to wait. So if it drops here and does something like this, I'm not going to play the break and retest. It's a little too low at that point for me to sell it, right? So I'm going to sell high or buy low. Let's see. This is the area I want to buy from. So I need it to fall still if I'm looking to buy, and I need it to come up if I'm looking to sell. I want to see something like this, right? A lot of volume down in here, so let it fall. But let's let it come up first. I doubt it does. Okay. EA, this is almost the same thing, right? If it does not make its way up here, and at this point, I am gonna put like a little alert at the 61.8, but I would really probably only take this at the 78.6 because a 40 pip stop, I don't want any more than that, to be honest. I don't want to have to risk 70 or 67 pips. So the 78.6 is where I'm going to keep my trade idea, 40 pip stop loss, and you know, taking it down into here is probably smart. This is an area right here though, the 61.8 off of this last swing low to swing high. It's probably a good area to take your profit. So I'll be looking for that. It's flagging out very nicely. So if it does start to really break structure on the 15-minute, it might be a good look still. It did come up almost to the 61.8. You see this 15-minute starting to almost play out to the downside a little bit. I'm talking about big impulse though. I need to see like a huge drop down. If I do see that, that's showing signs of continuation to the downside. That might be a play right there. But ultimately, I want it to come up a little higher before selling. Okay, gold, man. I was drawing up some intraday stuff on gold, and it hit, and I just wasn't ready to take the trade. And man, it would have been a great trade. So I messed up on that one. Let's delete some stuff just because I'm not knowing what I'm looking at right now. I'll bring this over here and probably need to make this a demand area. So, all right, let me look at the daily on gold. I mean, it's bearish, of course, but it's not falling very hard. I did expect it to continue after this. You know, I do expect that to happen. I was looking for some type of bearish opportunity, and I can show y'all a little bit more on that right here based off this impulse down. It did come up to the 78.6, and it is starting to possibly drop. Now, it's at a demand area now though, where I'm not sure it's gonna break. I do want it to break lower all the way down into this area, right? And if the only way I will look to get into this move right here, it kind of is too ugly, to be honest. Let me go to the 15-minute and see if there's anything on the 15 that I see. I would say just a little bit of manipulation. So it's the same thing that happened here. Okay, we had a quick move up, then a quick move down. Price comes back into this manipulation and drops. Okay, but it made a quick move up and a quick move down to get there. So there was more manipulation. Price comes back into that manipulation. How did it get there? Quick move up and then a move down. So just following that, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if price comes back up here to look to take it down, just because it has been showing this bearish manipulation, like price does possibly want to continue down. So I'm just simply going to put an alert right here. If gold makes its happy ass all the way up into this price, 1896, can tight stop it and send it down back into this area for a 4-to-1. Now ultimately, if it rejects up here one more time, it's most likely going to end up breaking these lows. Okay, it most likely will, and head its way down here. So it really could be a bigger trade than what I'm looking for, but this would be the first area I would take profit, and then I would maybe just hold a small position down there. So there's a lot of setups. This is a kind of an uglier setup, but it is a manipulation move right here that I do look for, and I'm looking to basically balance this out. Okay, you can see the volume profile. There is a lot of volume right here. There isn't a lot up here, and then there is a lot down here. So what's telling me is if the market comes into this area, it should respect and fall into the next area of volume. So that's what I'm looking at on gold. The only way that I'll be bullish on gold is if structure starts to form to the upside on a lower time frame. Right now on the higher, or not the higher time frames, but like a 1 hour time frame, it's more or less going sideways right here, but this is still in my face, right? This bearish action is still in my face. So I'm still seeing more chance of a downside move on gold, at least into this area, than I am seeing it to the upside right now. If these start to break, all this, if that starts to break, then we might see something like that. But until then, I'm going to just keep playing these little manipulation spots, or look to play them. Okay, the VIX did wonders. So I've been calling shots on these indices, I'm not going to lie, based off of the volatility index, right? So it's at this obvious area of support. It made a very bullish move last week or the week before. No, I believe it was last week. And then it started to just come back into these areas and not break. So to me, I was having a feeling that buyers were about to step in again. Let me see what this daily candle, yeah, so I'm definitely looking to sell the indices tomorrow. I was saying if these areas break, definitely look for sells on the indices. One of them broke, the other one hasn't, but to me this is starting to give signs that this really wants to move up, in my opinion. I know the 50 EMA broke on the 1 hour, so the next little target or area would be right here, kind of right there at this price, and I do think that's going to get hit. So let me just check this 15-minute and see what we got going on. Yeah, I'm liking the upside for the VIX, so that means downside opportunity should present himself on these indices, and this looks like a very nice bearish flag. So it is a little small for me. Let me look at this daily first. Yeah, I'm liking the pattern for the bears right here. Is a good opportunity. You got some tweezer tops. After coming into this area where price sold off from real heavy, right? So I'm going to be looking for bearish opportunities tomorrow. I'm not going to play this little bear flag. It's a little too small for me. You can't even really see it unless you go maybe to the 1 hour, 15-minute, and I like to see my patterns more on a higher time frame, at least the 1 hour. You can kind of see this bear flag forming. But once it breaks, I'll be looking for an opportunity like this, to be honest. 15-minute, high volume in this area from yesterday. So, you know, if you are brave, this definitely does look like a setup. Up here, you know, a little bit of liquidity still resting up there, so it might do one of those fake moves that the indices likes to do. Indices are really volatile, so but right here you can simply see with the volume that if this does break, we're most likely coming into this down here, which is like really lining up nice with this little impulse. So hopefully these other ones look a little bit cleaner. Yeah, it looks the same, to be honest. They're real choppy right here, so it could still fake people out and then go down. But overall, I'm looking for this thing to drop. If tomorrow the VIX opens up and it even makes any type of bullish move, these are going to tank on the open. Yeah, it looks very similar. And volume, let's see. Let's get some more volume down in here. Yeah. So I'm thinking price is going to end up doing something like this. Let me see the US 30, if it looks any better. I wanted it to come up. So I gotta wait. I gotta be patient. They honestly don't look that good. There's like I said, the market didn't move a whole lot this week yet. It looks like it might have, but pips, points, whatever, it didn't move a lot. It simply did not move a lot. So it's definitely good to be patient in those times. There's still some liquidity resting right here. So ultimately, what I would like to see is I would like to see the sellers not come in yet, bring this market up, and then make a move down. If I can see some type of manipulation, I will very much try to catch the next wave. But at this point, it's kind of already dropped a little bit. and it's a little too low for me to try to play this bear flag, at least on like a lower time frame. I had to drop down to the 5 just to kind of read this market a little bit better because it's kind of choppy, so it's probably best to just stay out. Okay, now let's get into the cryptos. So this is exciting for me, to be honest, what we're seeing on these cryptos, right? Let me just delete everything and look at this from a fresh eye. Right, so if you've been following my analysis for a while, I've been saying I want this accumulation to play out to the upside, right? At least into, you know, this next area right here. And with the pattern that we're seeing right here, I am very much bullish at this point. So we have 1, 2, 3 little dips down at the 30K, 31K price. So let me just mark this off here. Okay, 31K basically. And to me, this is almost a perfect Wyckoff accumulation pattern. And the way that the volume started to pick up right here in the bulls as it soared to the upside, and you see this big bearish volume candle. When you see a humongous volume candle like this, you need to see a humongous candle. If you don't, that's a sign of an anomaly. Just like right here, you see how there was a humongous bearish volume, but this was like a wick kind of showing buyer stepped in. That's what this is, in my opinion. This was a manipulation area where we kind of had a stop hunt on the lower time frames and then a big move up. See, this candle is not a huge candle. This candle's a bigger candle, but this candle had more volume. You see what I'm saying? So when you see stuff like that, you should kind of raise your eyebrows a little bit and say, So on my analysis, I was saying that if these lows get swept out and then we see a quick reversal, that's the sign that we are probably going to be sending this market back to the upside. And it didn't quite sweep the lows out, but it did do a quick move to the upside. And this is just the area where I have been really expecting the bulls to come in, if they're going to come in. You know, like I've said, they could have gone a little lower and then done this. If that would have happened, the little bit lower and then move up, boy, I would be so much more bullish. But regardless, I'm pretty bullish on this. We're breaking these EMAs. Once we start to see these start to cross, that's going to be a very bullish sign. What I want to see ultimately now, though, you can see on the 4 hour, it's breaking the 250 EMA as well, and just like a straight shot up, right? What I want to see now is a retracement. Whenever it stops is when the fib will stop. I want to see a retracement on low volume. So I want the market to come down into this area and then blast off. Once we break these areas right here, basically, once we kind of break through that, I think the upside is massive. Okay, I think the bulls are going to come in like never before. I don't want to get emotional about it like that, but I think the bulls are going to come in pretty heavy and bring the market at least to these prices. At least. So I got to see a pullback though. I really do, and it needs to be on low volume. So when the market comes, if the market comes into these areas down in here at this 33.5 price, I really need to see low volume. You see how the volume is low right now? I need to stay low and come down to here. You see a good amount of volume stepped in right here. Obviously, bulls stepped in right there. Let me bring in this whole range and see where we are. All right, there's the range in price. And man, it really might not get down in here. Okay, it really might not. It might just go. If it does do that, if it just goes, then it's going to be hard to find a position, to be honest. So either way, I'm kind of leaning towards the bullish side until this. I mean, just look at the impulsive move. The impulsive move, we haven't seen such impulse. Let me just put this right here. We haven't seen it get this high since May 24th. So last time it kind of did similar move was way back when it first started to accumulate. Now the accumulation to me is looking good. We're getting higher volume in. Bullish volume stepped in on the upside, and now we should see a correction. And then once it corrects is when I'm looking for the next wave to the upside. I know all the other cryptos don't look as nice as Bitcoin does. I think Bitcoin is going to lead the race, and then Ethereum is going to follow. So once I can get a better impulsive move on Ethereum, I'll be a little bit more bullish on the overall crypto market, because right now this looks like a bear flag. Right, this still looks like it has some dip down to go. Now, if Bitcoin just takes off, this is going to take off as well. And this hasn't necessarily done as big of, or I guess it has done a nice retracement, but it hasn't moved as bearish as Bitcoin has been when Bitcoin moves bearish. So if this does get above this 28.8 area, I will be looking for moves like that. But kind of got to wait on Ethereum, in my opinion. It is making these little baby higher highs, but it's looking still like a bear flag to me, like I said. So I don't really want to play Ethereum yet. Litecoin, on the other hand, Litecoin looks a little bit better to me. So let me just kind of delete this previous analysis. Look at this on the daily. And it's the same thing. We have a very nice bullish pattern. In fact, let me see what Ethereum's daily looks like. I mean, Ethereum on the daily doesn't look bad either. It really doesn't. That's why I wanted to break out. But Litecoin on the daily looks a lot better to me. It came down into these lows, right? Came down into these lows and made a bullish move. So it's the same thing. One of them, hopefully they retrace good enough into these areas to take to the upside again. Now I know some people are still bearish on this based off of, we had this drop, base, drop. We're coming back up into the base. We could definitely drop again. But this is a good opportunity to try to catch the next little pop up in these cryptos, in my opinion. They haven't given the best opportunities, but this one to me looks like a pretty good one. So let me put an alert actually on Bitcoin at the 61.8 here. And if it continues to move up, then I'll have to readjust. And then let me put an alert here at Litecoin. And then XRP, I think it doesn't look as good either, to be honest. It did come down into these lows, which is great. It does have a nice respect off this 200 EMA on the daily. So that looks okay, actually. There's a lot of wicks down in here. Let me put the 4 hour, and it just doesn't look as impulsive to me as some of these other ones do. So I'm going to leave XRP alone. I do think these are about to start to move to the upside though. I'm very optimistic on some of these cryptos moving to the upside. I'm going to check Matic. So this is going to be one that I'm going to probably end up putting on my overall watch list, just because I think this has a lot of potential to move longer term to the upside. It's made a very nice run this year so far, and with this type of impulse correction, it's at the 61.8. If it makes another impulsive move, I think it's a good one to throw some money into. Now right now it kind of doesn't look too bullish yet, but if it does start to break structure, the next little move up that it does, I think that will be the start of these all-time highs coming back into play. So I just wanted to check that. I don't care for Doge. I'll look at it real quick, and then I'll do stuff like this and like delete it because I hate it. So yep, that is it for my analysis today. Leaning on this dollar pretty heavy tomorrow to correct and then move to the upside. A lot of setups, to be honest, so I got a lot of alerts set. If I see something I really like, I'll definitely throw it out in the chat. But other than that, I appreciate y'all for checking out another analysis, and I hope y'all have a good trading day tomorrow. Peace out.